This is great to see you all, and this is a great honor for me to present Dr. Tian Dayton. And I've gotten to know her work really well, and I know that many of you know all about her work. Welcome to Dublin, Tian. Okay, so there's lots of descriptors of the work that I think you all know what she does. So all I'm going to do is say what a pleasure it's been to have spent these few days with Tian. We got her in a day early so we could bring her over to Leinster House and meet with Senator Francis Black, and I know that they're going to be working on some ideas. Introduced her to the great people at Alcohol Action Ireland, who are also here with us, and Marion and Sheila and Paddy, and so Tian's made lots of friends while she's here, and we hope that she's going to spend some more time in Ireland. So thank you, Tian. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tian. Tian, please. So great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Hello. I'm going, a couple of people have said I'm looking forward to hearing you. Let me assure you, I am looking forward to hearing you. Everything I do is about hearing you, and you, even more importantly, facilitating your hearing each other. The model I'm presenting you is RTRS, Relational Trauma Repair Sociometrics. It is Moranian in theory. It is Tian Dayton in floor checks. And it is an adaptation I've made for the addictions field. Why did I make this? Because in the addictions field, at least in America, we lost funding, rather, in New York in the early 80s. And my trainees were coming to training groups saying, I'm being given groups of 30 and 35, and I'm told to deliver therapy to them. And this, one of my favorite trainees, was ready to leave the field. And we were all overwhelmed. All of us just thought, how are we going to do this? And then I thought, my training is in psychodrama, sociometry, and group psychotherapy. J.L. Moreno is the father of group psychotherapy. He created psychodrama and sociometry. Psychodrama is the role-playing you are used to seeing. Sociometry are the group processes you will see. Floor checks are my adaptation. He used to say, we get them in the door with psychodrama, we heal them with sociometry. The way I've designed floor checks, I was a Montessori teacher in my early 20s. And we worked on the concept of the prepared environment. The idea is that the teacher functioned as a catalyst between the child and the environment. And in a good Montessori classroom, you will not notice the teacher, you will notice the children. And in my groups, you will not notice me, you will notice each other. Floor checks reduce the role of the therapist, so we've taken care of the problem of the rolling. In treatment centers, there are a lot of therapists. They come and go. They're trained at various levels, and they need models they can learn pretty quickly and easily. But in treatment centers, the dilemma is that therapists are working with frontline stuff, right? They're working with addiction, early addiction. They're working with the trauma that naturally, the minute you get sober, starts rising to the surface, right? You remove the medicator, the alcohol or drugs that have been keeping feelings numb. What happens when you remove them? The feelings beneath them start to rise up. So that's frontline work. Because whatever we call trauma, it's not necessarily a big event, the kind I work with. Event trauma is life-altering. Anyone who's been through an event trauma knows that there's a before and an after, right? Life before and after the trauma is different. You sometimes lose sense of what came before. In relational trauma, which is the kind that I'm writing a book called Growing Up with Addiction, And it is really about both event and relational trauma. Nobody who grows up with addiction doesn't have some event trauma in their history. There's just too much abuse. However, it is also relational trauma. And I think that's what we need to get a handle on, because that's what we pass on to the next generation if we don't resolve it. It's the twisted thinking that never gets untwisted. It's the cognitive distortions that never get understood. It's the attachment dynamics that are off kilter. All of that needs healing. We need to begin healing it. But what you will see today in floor checks and so on are repairs of the kinds of deficits that trauma engenders. What is trauma? It's a lost connection with the self, right? How do we lose a connection with the self? Say it if we numb out our feelings. Trauma causes us to go numb inside, to flatten inside. When we numb out our feelings, we can't feel them. We become strangers in our own inner world. We can't consult our own inner feelings to figure out what we want to do, who we like. We don't trust our neuroception to make good choices for us. We don't trust our instincts anymore because we can't access them. So what we're doing today is re-accessing our feelings. And then we're feeling them, naming them, moving them up to a conscious level so we can think about them, and then we're sharing them with others. And then we're doing something that is rare. We're listening as others do the same. And we're not jumping up and screaming or running out of the room. We're learning to sit and listen to emotionally charged material without imploding or exploding. So recovery doesn't end with feeling your feelings and saying them out loud. We need to listen to others do the same. Why is it important to follow a model that is Moranian? This is my home base. Everything you will learn here from me is based on a century of trial and error. Moreno was in turn of the century Vienna. That's where he created psychodrama, sociometry, group psychotherapy. He created it alongside Freud, right? He had a chance meeting during a conference that Freud and Moreno were presenting at. And he said something that has become legendary in our community. Freud politely said, "I've heard of you, what are you doing?" And Moreno arrogantly replied, "Sir, you analyze their dreams. I give them the courage to dream again." This is what the gift of psychodrama and sociometry is. We're not telling anyone what to feel. We're not telling you what to think. We're not analyzing you. We're not interpreting you. As you see what I've created in floor checks, it is all about choice. Let me tell you a little story of why I did that. When this trainee who was so crestfallen, I came into the next group and I had scrawled feelings on a piece of paper, right? The locogram was all the sociometric that Moreno developed. And it was very limited. It's 4 spaces, maybe 5. You can ask a couple of criterion questions, and that's pretty much it. It's a fabulous icebreaker. It doesn't go much further. I thought I've got to get something, and I thought about Montessori, and I thought about, can I create a prepared environment? And I thought about, can I turn therapy on its head and reduce my role as the expert and enhance the member-to-member connection within the group? Now, where did I get my thought about? I'm a 12-stepper. What is it but pure healing? I know from my own experience that we don't need experts to heal. We need each other. So I healed just by being in a room where there were rules, where there was such a thing as no crosstalk, where somebody couldn't stand up and point at me or yell at me or tell me I was bad for opening my mouth. I also come from a wonderful family, by the way. We are many things, as you are. So I created a model with structure. As Steve Porges says, when he looked at floor checks, Steve got this better than so many. He looked at it and he said, Tian, you've created a new form of therapy, because he got when I explained I've reduced the role of the therapist and expanded the member-to-member connection. And he said, you're healing through co-regulation. Of course he saw it. This is where he lives. He understood what was happening in the room. You need community to heal. You need community to feel. You need community to practice being a person again. So what we need to do is have a method that allows us to move, to have structure, a beginning, middle, and an end. You feel a feeling, you name it, you translate it into words, you share it, you listen as other people do the same, then you let it go, and you move on into the next choice. So we're not going to get stuck there. We in the addictions field will stay in the feeling, sharing the feeling for years, right? But we need a structure so we can get out of sharing the feeling and get out of thinking that's the only way to feel better. We need to practice new ways of feeling safe relating with each other. And that's what this model will give you. New ways of repairing the broken connections with the self and with other people that we all experience with relational trauma. We need a new storyline. We need something that is as Dan Siegel says, a models that are welcoming and safe. As Steve says, we need to relax the the nervous system, so that we can feel calm enough to listen and take something in, right? So that we can listen and hear, and not just listen with our half attention, listen with our whole body, mind, listen, be there, offer presence. And you can offer that for each other. We need a new storyline. We need something that is as Dan Siegel says, a models that are welcoming and safe. As Steve says, we need to relax the nervous system, so that we can feel calm enough to listen and take something in, right? So that we can listen and hear, and not just listen with our half attention, listen with our whole body, mind, listen, be there, offer presence. And you can offer that for each other. One more thing before we move into action. Why do this instead of experiential work? Experiential work. There are a lot of people who have borrowed from Moreno, right? Fritz Perls took the empty chair from Moreno. Harville Hendricks got Dublin from Moreno. Psychodrama structures, El Paso got role play from role structure from Moreno. There are many more, right? And if it's used well, it does nothing but enhance their methods. It's very, you can take doubling and role reversal and add it to your one-to-one practice, and you will be taking that from Moranian theory, and it will make your practice come alive. But we need to understand the roots in order to do it well. If we only understand the hybrid, what happens is therapists panic, and then they start giving excuses, and then they start commanding, and then they start giving advice, then they start sitting back like the expert, etc., because they can't fall back into their techniques. If you use experiential therapy without theory, it will, when catharsis-driven, people start to think you have to have a big, huge catharsis or you haven't done your work. Not true. People The therapist gets very instructive and starts interpreting what's going on. Not technique, not good technique. There is an end, a goal. There is no goal. I hate to disappoint you in psychodrama. We're here to explore together. There is no goal in sociometry. We're here to explore together. I don't mean to sound critical, but you should know the difference. Because what you do should be based on the best theory. And the best theory is this body of people worldwide who have studied this method. Yes, yes, yes.
Thanks, Tian. I'm just wondering, could you explain sociometry to me?
Thank you. J.L. Moreno created psychodrama sociometry group psychotherapy. I'm going to take just an extra moment to do this because it's a really important question. Psychodrama is the role-playing method, right? That's what you think of. I think psychodrama does not need much explanation. It's how you play a role. But I can tell you what you do need to know in psychodrama is if you are not seeing role reversal used, you are not seeing psychodrama. Doubling and psychodrama are the two most important techniques. The stage is also part of the therapeutic process. We use space, how close, how far. It's part of the healing principle. Role reversal is the sine qua non of psychodrama, that without which there is no true psychodrama, because in Moreno's psychodrama, you are seeing from both sides. The research on perspective taking is just coming out, but the easiest way to change your perspective is to reverse roles. And it's a scary thing to do at first. You think if I leave my role, I'm going to fall apart and I'll never find myself again, right? What you find is you reverse roles and lo and behold, you're still here and you are occupying your parents' role or your daughter's role or your dog's role, whatever. But you are seeing and feeling as them. You are standing in shoes. So that is empathy training without saying it's empathy training. It's perspective taking without saying it's perspective taking. You change, and then you come back, you see yourself from the outside, right? You reverse roles back into yourself, and you re-experience yourself as not less integrated, but more integrated. It's a mystery, but it works. Doubling is when you stand behind the role and speak that which is not being spoken from the role. If I am doubling for Amy, may I? You don't have to move. If Amy's sharing in group, no, it's all right. If Amy's in my group and she's sharing and I can see that from her role she's having trouble articulating something, right? I might say, Amy, would it be okay if I doubled for you? If I get a yes, which I'm getting, right? I might drop down and say what I imagine Amy is going on the inside. And then I would definitely always say, does that feel right? And what I often say is, don't wear it if it doesn't feel right, and correct it if it's wrong. So there's no doubling wrong because the whole idea is to correct it if I got it wrong. There is no offending me because I'm always saying, did I get it right? Correct me if I'm wrong. And then I just come out. That's role reversal, that's the double. That's psychodrama. Moreno, because he was in Freudian Vienna, remember, thought, what if, Moreno also was a Sephardic Jew. He was an outsider. He felt that a therapy worth its salt should have as a goal the healing of all mankind. A modest goal. But that's why everything is group. And that's the beginning of sociometry. His first attempt at group was to drag 8 couches into a room, 8 couches, and to invite the participants to lie down on the couch, Freudian style, and talk. So they were all talking, and he said, I realized their fantasies started mixing with each other, their thoughts started mixing with each other, and it wasn't going to work. What he did next, I hear a drum going off, I hear trumpets when I say this. He made the very simple but profound shift of inviting them to sit up in chairs. And that was the birth of group psychotherapy. Isn't that wild? They just started talking to each other instead of talking to the ceiling. It's funny. It's beautiful. And he, never having seen it before, said, I think we've got something here. And that was the birth of group therapy. And Moreno is known as the father of group psychotherapy. Sociometry is the science he slowly developed. He is also known as one of the initial social scientists. He was interested in why people choose each other, why people don't choose each other, why they have positive, negative, or neutral attraction to each other. The tele is the knowing we have that we don't always know we have. It's what we know about another person without ever necessarily letting ourselves be aware of it. If I asked you right now, look around the room, and in your mind, choose somebody, don't say anything, just answer it in your mind, choose somebody who you might feel comfortable asking directions from. Make a choice.
Sure.
Got that?
Well,
Okay, now look around the room and choose somebody you would not feel comfortable asking directions from. Answer it in your mind. Now, look around the room and choose somebody you might tell something personal to. You just, for some reason, you'd feel comfortable doing that. Just your tele. A lot happened just then, right? We know a lot without realizing we know it. This is all part of sociometry. Sociometry essentially is group dynamics. But in psychodrama, we make it concrete with sociometrics. With Moreno, called them sociometrics. The step and circle we're going to do in a minute, Dale Buchanan, a revered psychodramatist, came up with. We'll do a locogram, that's Moreno. We'll do a spectrogram, that's Moreno. Locogram and spectrogram are Moreno sociometrics. We'll do floor checks, that's Tian. And then we'll do the rest of the model I created, which includes timelines, and my version of how to use the social atom easily, the Moreno social atom, how I apply it in my work. Ready to begin?
yeah.
Okay, so stand up and let's make a circle.
That's right.
Big circle. If you can also come into the circle. Okay, so you see when people start to move, there is already this kind of little friendly murmur. This is Who Like Me. If you go on YouTube, you will see this used in prison yards. You'll see it used in Denmark. You'll see it. This is very versatile. Who Like Me is the child of an alcoholic. Step in the circle. One step, that's all. And step back. Another Who Like Me.
Who Like Me is from the LGBTQIA plus community.
Where is iron? Like,
Thank you. Step back. Another. Raise your hand, okay? And Patrick will find you.
Who has slapped at her child or his child?
The page and
No,
Slap.
One step.
Sorry, hold on.
Who, like me, has slapped their child? That's gutsy. You got to admire that.
wait.
Okay, thank you.
Well, no, stay there. Stay there.
One more, two more.
Who like me is bipolar?
Who, like me, is bipolar?
So what you know now, thank you for stepping in for, is that you have company. Nobody is alone in what they are. One more, and then we'll move on.
Who, like me, is a survivor of childhood sexual abuse?
We have a lot of company.
Dave Colony.
Good company. Okay, so that is the step-in circle. Simple, right? You can do it tomorrow. Very easy, but it warms the group up. It lets people start to connect, and it reduces isolation. The next thing I'm going to teach you is a locogram. Or wait a minute, a locogram. This is a great icebreaker. Locogram usually has 4 places, right? I'm going to do it as if we are a group in early recovery, right? Okay, so I'm delighted to be here. Oh no, let me do it just for this group. What am I thinking? I'm delighted to be here. I'm not so sure. It's pretty, I wish I were outside. And other. In psychodrama and sociometry, we always have other, so that you can write in what's missing. So I'm delighted to be here. I'm not sure yet. I think I'd like to be outside. Other. Please just step into the part that's you. Your choice.
My Julie says double. Third time it's up to the
I like it.
Oh, dear, just
Yeah.
one side.
Yeah. Oh, here, wait.
It's just one side. Thank you. It's the black part that's up. I told it. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Sorry,
Okay, so you see as a group leader the information I have now? Do you see how much I just learned about my group in 30 seconds? Most of you are glad to be here. Where do we part ways? Who is not so sure? So I'm going to invite Patrick.
Yep.
I'm going to invite people from the not so sure to share. Not everybody, just one person or two. I'm not sure because one sentence. If you want to, we don't choose. Just raise your hand if you want to share.
This is new to me, and I guess I haven't really finished my assessment of what's going on here.
Well, good.
Because,
Anybody else from not sure?
yeah, I'm just waiting to see what's.
Yeah, I'm waiting to sort of see what's coming down the line.
Right. Okay. So that's 2. And I'm pretty confident that you're here, so I'm feeling comfortable that you're on board with this. I don't know, wait a minute, you want to be outside. I think that's pretty clear. Yeah, share. Yeah, one more.
I'm really glad to be here, but I'd love to be outside in the sunshine, doing.
Yeah, can you say, did you hear that in the recording? Okay, thank you. But here's the group I'm curious about, right? Other. I don't know, I'm curious only because I don't know what they're choosing. So, Amy.
Hi, I came into the other because I have 2 feelings. I'm delighted to be here, but I'm also filled with a lot of emotion. And so it's not just one. It's not that simple.
And we will get to that.
It's glad.
Exactly. Okay. And we've got a same over here. Okay, anything, say.
Actually,
Look at this.
Anxious.
I would not have predicted. Yes, please. Other here.
I'm really afraid of my emotions because I'm really vulnerable on day 3. And I'm scared of what's coming up, but I'm also very grateful. I'm in my home country. I've left here 22 years ago. And God has placed me here to get rid of something that I've been living with for 55 years.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I'm going to keep us moving along, if that is okay, because I just want to point out, I can do that. I want to point out I would not have known any of that, nor would I have even guessed it. So I'm here to listen to you. This is the simplicity of a locogram. Now I want to introduce a spectrogram to you. And here's a spectrogram. You have 100% at this end, 0% at this end, and in the middle it's 50%. Does that part feel clear? Think of it as a graph on the floor. It's so handy. So here's what we do. We're not taking questions now anyway. Yeah. We will call for them. I apologize to anyone out there who needs a question, but I'm going to explain to you why we're not taking questions during the process. Warm-up in psychodrama and sociometry is everything. Everything. I keep the process moving. This is trauma work. You don't need to do some big deal trauma work. Once the room warms up and you're in community and you're invited to share, it becomes deep. But you see how important it is. And that's because your limbic systems are in motion. I'm asking you deep questions. I'm inviting you to open up. And I'm creating a space for healing. And when it interrupts that space, you hear a pin drop. You're in an altered state. And that altered state we call in psychodrama psychodramatic trance state. It's already begun in this room. And I think the reason it's already begun is because you've had 2 days of warm-up with these lovely presenters on polyvagal and IFS and everybody else, and EMDR and emotional sobriety. That's all warm-up. But that was all experiential warm-up, I assume. Where were we? So we were on the locogram. A lot's happened on this locogram. I'm glad you want to be here. I invite you to be here with your ambivalence. Thank you for letting me know. And there'll be a lunch break. So that's the locogram. The spectrogram is, think of a graph on the floor, 100%, 0%, 50%. And then I ask what we call criterion questions. Simple. How comfortable are you in this room right now? I am 100% comfortable. I am 0% comfortable. I am 50% comfortable. Just move to your percent. It's really important. I want to point out again, you chose where to be on the locogram. You chose whether or not to choose with a step and circle. Now, whoever feels warmed up to share, I'm going to choose themselves and say, but keep it to one sentence. I'm standing on this percent because.
Please wait until the microphone comes.
Okay.
Put myself, hello. I've put myself around 75% because I'm really excited to be here. But I do have a lot of raw emotion coming up. And also just that need for the safety and the cues of danger with the distractions and the door opening and closing.
Yeah. And
I put myself in 0 because I felt told off when you responded to me and thought I was going to have a panic attack when I just said I couldn't hear you. And it's just...
I'm so sorry. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, and I don't even remember hearing it or saying, but I certainly didn't mean to make you feel that way. Yeah, and it's something's obviously from your past?
Yeah.
And what is that?
Just being a source of irritation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's enough. Yeah. May I use that as a teaching? Do I have your permission to just say something about that? It's a touching example of how it works, how a cognitive distortion repeats itself in all the situations. Because the meaning we make as a child about when we feel told off at home over and over again, I'm bad, right? I'm a bother, I'm too much. And that can get triggered in a very small way that feels very huge inside, but someone like me in the group is not in touch with, because there were several people sharing, and to be honest with you, I couldn't really hear or distinguish who it was. And that's what happens, right? So, welcome to group. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And you look calmer.
Oh my God, yeah. Thank God I needed to say it. I'm
Yeah.
proud of myself that I did.
Yes, good. Yeah. And it's my job to understand if I need to do something about that. But I think that's enough. On my part, there was no intention, clearly, to. But I do need to mirror, model. I'm sorry, right? And then I need to take care of the rest of the group. And I think as group leaders, it's very easy to go so far here that we forget everybody else, and then your cognitive distortions will start kicking up. It's tricky, right? But now we do the feeling floor checks. So right now, we're laying out feelings, and this is a floor check, and this is where you're going to find. It's really nice. You're going to find a solution to being activated, because I'm going to connect you with each other. And I'm going to find a solution with the level of activation that is happening now because you've had 2 days to get activated. So right now, we're laying out feelings. And this is a floor check. And this is where you're going to find. It's really nice. You're going to find a solution to being activated, because I'm going to connect you with each other. And I'm going to find a solution with the level of activation that is happening now because you've had 2 days to get activated, right? So there's more in the room than there sometimes is at this kind of moment. So I want you to all be aware of that too. Walk over to a feeling that you resonate with right now. Stand on it.
Jen, there's people asking online what's on the pieces of paper on the floor.
Yeah. Please don't stand on the paper, stand beside it. What I'm going to invite you to do now is to begin a process of co-regulation. Talk with the people who are near you and standing on the same feeling you're standing on, and share with them why you chose it. For those of you in our online community, those floor cards have feelings on them. May I? We're going to listen another minute, if you would. I want to explain what just happened. A lot just happened. You've just experienced the magic of co-regulation. I want to take 3 minutes to explain, and then we are obviously going to take a break after that. So what just happened is a group popped open, and you had the space and the mechanism through which to do it. This group was holding stuff. And what I want to say to you as a learning is this is how important it is to have a vehicle that's experiential through which you can share what you're holding. It was a remarkable example. Do you see it as clearly as I'm seeing it? It's been 2 days. 2 days of evocative stuff. And it all just came up the minute you had a space to share it. But this is the beauty of floor checks. It really, you can see why I created these. It doesn't work until you do this process. I might as well have just started out with this process, in a way. Because until you can really access each other, I would have normally just worked through a couple questions and invited people to share in the group, but the group was so holding so much, I just went straight into sociometric sharing. I just went straight in to talk to the people you're near. And you could have talked for another 20 minutes, I think. Groups always, and this is one, groups always ignore me when I say, may I? May I? That group, you know it's working when the group colludes to ignore you because they don't want to stop sharing. And I like that, and I respect that. This group wouldn't stop. I had to go around group by group and say, may I invite you to sit down? May I invite you to sit down? Because sitting down was going to be the only way to, I couldn't have moved you to another word if I had, but that's the power of the floor check. That is the power of inviting healing through co-regulation into the space. Tell me if you feel you needed this and it answered some need, because I want to know if what I'm seeing is correct. Raise your hand if you feel you needed this and it answered a need. What I was observing is that, is what I observed that is the reason I created floor checks. The people who need to talk in treatment are the people, not the therapist, right? You need to get ways of people talking to each other. And when we do evocative stuff, right? You need to get ways of people talking to each other. And when we do evocative stuff, as with polyvagal or parts work, we need community to heal. You needed a vehicle through which you could find each other. And you see, what I did was nothing. This was your best experience so far, and I was sitting in a chair with my mouth shut. This is what groups need. They need to find each other to heal. Does this make sense? Now, I want to let you ask a couple questions, or are you just dying? Okay, yes. Oh, yeah.
So please wait for the microphone to come.
And tell me if it's too heady. If you're too much in the experience and the warm-up to want to answer questions, please speak up and just say, but is it okay to do a couple questions and see how it goes? Just a couple? Okay. Yes.
Hi, it's lovely to be here. I just wanted to ask a question, and it's lovely to be invited, so I like to share what's going on with me all the time, pretty much. And what was lovely about here was there's a word, and there's other people on the word. In fact, I was on happy, and there was no one there. So I thought, well, I'm going to go to content, where I could see some people. But I live in a marina, and I walk from my boat to the car park, and I will always see people. And quite often I've got my headphones on, I'm just in my thing. So I might stop, but it's like, what's lovely about this is, you can share with these people because they're in the same place. But as I'm walking down the marina and I'm starting to talk to people, it's like they're in a different place.
Yes.
So they can't hear me.
Yes.
And I feel unheard. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I mean, not only is that, it wasn't a question, it was a summing up of everything floor check. And what happened, that was a summing up of everything about floor checks. You are, and I didn't say it as part of the teaching, so you've got me to say it. You are sociometrically aligned according to feeling. And this group member was smart enough to say, I'm happy. Who's closest to happy? Okay, I'll go to content and find some company. So that's the beauty of this. I'm not just saying, find somebody you want to share with. I'm giving you criterion to share around. And after I did this, I don't think I'll necessarily do this today, but I do think we should do one more floor check after our break. This is a feeling floor check. This is the one that's, you could use constantly, and everybody still will share around it. What I added to this was a symptom floor check, because as I was doing program development, I was teaching trauma symptoms, right? And people learning about trauma symptoms, either if they're in treatment, start thinking they have every symptom, which is not a desirable state, or they get triggered, or they get overwhelmed and feel analyzed. So I put them on the floor and started saying things like, walk over to a symptom you identify with and share about why you identify with it. So by introducing the element of choice, and by making you, the point of sociometry and psychodrama is to help person connect with the autonomous healing center in themselves. That's healing. I'm trying to help you connect with that part of you and with each other. So by allowing you to be on your feet walking around choosing, you have criterion to connect around. So beautiful. Thank you so much for making that observation. It's core to the whole model. Another question or observation?
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, thank you so much. I wonder if you could say a little bit more about co-regulation and how we were co-regulating during this exercise. Yeah.
Co-regulation is mammalian. It's really what animals do. You pet your dog, you're co-regulating with your dog. You're attuning your nervous system to another nervous system, and you are regulating. If you, If you've had a baby, right? A baby's nervous system is not fully formed at birth, but their alarm system is fully formed, which is why if you've got a little baby in your arms and the door slams, they go like this. They can experience a full startle response. If you want to understand why childhood trauma is traumatic, a baby can experience a full startle response. What they can't experience is regulation. They don't have the neurological capacity to regulate themselves. They depend on the parent to regulate for them. As a parent, you are, if you're attending to your child, regulating them all the time. When they get thrown out of balance, what do? You use your dulcet tones, your cooing, and your body to regulate the baby. And they, in the parent's arms, either are free to scream their heads off or start to kind of settle in and regulate. I am acting as their external regulator, what we call an external regulator. And every little motion becomes their own self-regulation. They lay down the neural pathways to self-regulate. Is that good? So we're healing that here, because often babies get left.
Tian,
Yes.
what happens if that process doesn't exist for a baby?
Yes, right. Exactly the right question to ask next. Look up Ed Tronick's The Still-Faced Experiment online. The Still-Face Experiment by Ed Tronick, and you will see the clearest example of what happens when that does not happen. Now, every parent misses cues, right? Every child experiences rupture. The key is to repair it, right? The key is to rush over to the side of that ruptured connection, the baby who's hysterical, and Mommy didn't mean to this, Mommy didn't mean to, come on, we'll get you, right? That's how rupture and repair, and that can be strengthening. Rupture and repair can be okay. Rupture and no repair is relationship trauma. Rupture and no repair is trauma. It stays in your nervous system, it stays in your emotional system, it becomes a cognitive distortion. It settles inside and becomes a trigger, and then anything in the world can trigger you back into that space, right? Because you start to read the world around you through that lens of the past. You start to see if your cognitive distortion is no one's going to like me, you walk into a room feeling like no one's going to like you. If your cognitive distortion is, I always get things wrong, when you get anything wrong, you will catastrophize it and think it's the first part of getting everything wrong. A lot of kids who grow up like that, personalize things. One more question, and then I'd like you to be free to take your break. Or no more questions if there aren't any. Is there another question before we part? These have been excellent. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Tian.
Sure.
I will just continue with this question. So is this part of reparenting yourself?
I'm sorry, Matea?
If this is part of reparenting yourself.
Yes. This is part of reparenting yourself. Is that you're kind of asking that and saying that, correct?
Yes.
Because you're identifying that it is.
Yeah. Is this if I didn't have the loving parent and so on?
If I didn't have the loving parent and so on?
So it's my job to give myself this, not seeking from outside?
Yes.
Do you want me to say that what you just said? If I didn't
Please.
have that loving parent, it becomes my job to seek it from outside and to reparent lovingly myself. I mean, that's really the beautiful note on which to end, because Matea is right. If we want to get better, we can't make it somebody else's job to heal us. We have to take that job, and that's why in this model, I try to set it up so that people sort of spontaneously and through learning about the model, learn to become shareholders in their own recovery.